So I'm Kristen Kalina from Mastermind Adventures. This is Fitz Lamarre, good friend of ours.
Very good friend.
Feels like we've
Very
been
good
friends for a long time.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're like family these days.
We are like family. Yeah. So Fitz Lamarre is an awesome art teacher and community engagement. Awesome.
I get around.
Yeah.
I try to, get in there, here and there where I can.
So Fitz has a program that he has done for the last few years for kids and teens in the Greater New Bedford area called Creative Oasis.
Yes.
You're not running it this year.
Not this year. Didn't run this year.
But he's doing lots of other stuff, and I thought he would be a great person for the community to get to know. And he's actually doing classes here at Masterminds this summer. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But first of all, Fitz, thanks so much for taking some time to chat with me.
Thank you, Kristen.
Talk to the Let's Play community.
And
so just tell us, I know I gave you a little bit about Fitz, but tell us a little bit more about you, maybe how you got interested in art, what that progression looked like for you.
All right. I'm a self-taught artist. I was given the space by my mom to kind of do what I want. She didn't really make me do X, Y, or Z. She was a nurse herself. So I got into art through school. There was someone, can't remember, he's just a blurry face right now.
Oh, wow.
But his basically there was an after-school program while there were after-school programs, and there was a guy who encouraged me a lot. Everything I would do, he was very complimentary. He was extremely doting over everything I had kind of done, and that kind of resonated with me and impacted me, and I just wanted to do a little better and a little bit more. And then I got into drawing animals. That was the big thing. Other boys were drawing cars and stuff like that. And then I got into drawing people, cartoons. Anything I could replicate is where I got started, really. And then I stumbled onto my mom's anatomy books.
Oh, wow.
That was the breaking point, because then I figured out I could draw people. So I figured out something I loved, and I just kept feeding my brain all this creative stuff, or I would make it creative. So at an early age, I guess I'd be like in middle school, the beginning of middle school even, I knew just about, I would say, all the muscles, all the major muscle groups, and just about all, I didn't know all 200 and some bones, but I knew the majority of them and where they were and tendons and everything that attached to them. So I was great in science class. This is before a lot of the internet and stuff like that. So I was seeking out information in encyclopedias, libraries, anywhere the old-fashioned way, magazines. My mom had Vogue magazines, so I would redraw the girls on the covers. So I really was able to make something out of just being given the space to create that. But then it was because I loved it, and I really loved art and being creative, and then it was a competition too among the kids, because there was always a bit of the reinforcement I think I got lucky to get, because kids wanted me to draw stuff for them, and so it was almost like automatic practice. So that would I remember that happening in kindergarten all the way up to middle school, actually, and it wasn't even something I thought of as a career. I wanted to be a veterinarian. I was going to be an animal doctor.
Awesome.
But then I actually failed out of lost a scholarship and everything, failed out of school because I was taking chemistry and college algebra and trying to work at UPS at the overnight schedule all at the same time, and that didn't go so well.
No, I can imagine not.
So I was literally falling asleep in classes and everything, and so I was kind of bummed because now I had to pay for my education, so I figured, what can I do all day and not be bored? And what do I not mind paying for to go to school? And it was art. And then while I was at UPS, ran into who would be a lifelong friend, Gerard Turner, who ended up convincing me to go to the Art Institute. And then from there, we were trying to start the comic book thing, but then I got into graphic design. And then did that for like 15 years or so. But from Florida, where I was living at the time, I was born in Massachusetts. Mom moved to Florida. Then from Florida, graphic design got me to California, where I got to work doing some boutique studio work on art covers for movies and DVDs and stuff like that, hologram covers, you name it. So I did that for about 15 years, got a bit burnt out, and then I had the opportunity to move out here mainly for family. Fell in love with my family after going to my grandmother's 100th birthday party. Everybody was together, it was great. Daughter graduated high school, didn't want to stay in California by myself, so I came out this way.
Wow.
But then I got to reinvent myself, right? And it was like, so what do you want to do? Graphic design isn't really a big industry out here, so I wasn't going to really make a living doing that, and I didn't want to commute anymore because the California commute was
Awful.
That was it. So I didn't want to live in the South Dartmouth, New Bedford area and then have to go all the way to Boston, or Rhode Island wasn't that far, but really didn't want to do much of that traveling. So I figured, oh yeah, let me think about the artist thing, and then a buddy challenged me to do a portrait or do something with art, big and creative. And then so I came up with a series, the Ambassadors of Peace, where I painted Bob Marley, Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, John F. Kennedy Jr., Martin Luther King Jr. And the mayor bought the Kennedy.
Wow.
Martin Luther King is hanging in the Y in Fall River.
Oh, that's awesome.
A cousin of mine bought Bob Marley. And so Mother Teresa's hanging in the school that I'm in now, and Gandhi's in my living room.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So far, but that was the big inspiration for me to really do something creative. But I didn't sell those paintings for years.
Yeah.
When I first got here, that's what I wanted to do. He challenged me. I was like, all right, look at these great paintings, and people were like, wow, those are great, but nobody was buying anything.
Right. Yeah.
So then I had to think of what else can I do with all this creative juice that's gonna pay the bills.
Yeah.
And I was on Craigslist looking for jobs, and then there was free paint with art instruction, no experience needed. So I jumped on it. It turned out to be Michael's, and so I became a Michael's paint instructor for a little bit.
I had no idea.
Yes, and so this was. I'm not a good salesperson necessarily, so getting people to my class was difficult.
Yeah.
Because you had to market their way using their materials and such, and I kind of had already a marketing background from the graphic design, so I felt a little,
Squished.
contained in what they wanted me to do. But the feedback I was getting from people was great, and that's where I found out I was super patient, and that I could actually teach people and had a knack for it, because I was getting a lot of good feedback. Oh, you're good at this. You're so patient. Wow, you went over time and you're not complaining. I'm not sure what other art instructors are doing out there, but apparently I was getting a good response from all ages.
Yeah.
I dealt with some really young kids, and I think my oldest is 86.
Wow.
So I did that for a little bit, and then I started doing the paint night thing, and that was just from I used to Gallery X. I was a member of Gallery X in New Bedford, and then I ended up I would just paint there, live paint. I'd pick something and just start painting, especially on openings or anything like that, just to be in front of people. And it kind of worked because everybody likes to see somebody painting.
Yeah.
It's kind of intriguing. People come up, and I'm painting kind of quick, so I would be getting something in, and people who are walking around would be like, wow, look at that, you already got this in, you're filling that in, and I can talk and paint at the same time. So naturally it kind of came about that there was a painting with a splash, a paint night place, and people kind of pointed me that way. I got in contact with them, so then I had another job. And what I realized is most people up here have many hats.
Right.
So I started developing that as well. Did some workshops with the New Bedford Art Museum with their teens. Also the Historical Whaling Museum down there, the National Parks. And just a lot of different workshops just to kind of get my name around. And then Lloyd turned me on to you as well.
Right.
And then that's how I got into dealing with the homeschool population.
Right.
And a lot of the great things that Mastermind had going, which really opened up the doors to just me being able to engage my personality a lot more. Because I think with the teaching style that I use. I like to build a relationship while teaching the art, just so once you build that trust, then you can lead somebody anywhere, especially when they love it. So running into the homeschoolers was great, because then I got exposed to this population of kids that not only were they into their education, but their parents were like right there, and it was great, because then you don't have these behavior issues or other policing. You could just teach, and that was good to have as a good initial experience, along with the other workshops that I was doing. Because currently now I teach at Fall River, at Resiliency Preparatory Academy, and that's a challenging bunch. Because there's a lot of credit recovery.
It's a high school level for those of you that are not in Massachusetts.
Yes, middle school, high school level. They're the kids that have had issues in their middle schools and high schools, and they get sent to our school for, I guess you could say, repurposing and getting their direction in order. Hopefully to go back to their schools, but if it doesn't work out, we have everything there to
help them.
Really help them move along. So reaching that population creatively was a challenge. And that's where I realized the relationship building skills were huge, because in this population, a lot of the relationships they have are kind of toxic. So to have somebody who doesn't swear every 3 words, and who speaks properly, and who I try to make myself a role model, because that's what I felt like that guy who influenced me creatively, like, I barely remember what he looks like or anything, but his influence lasted all this time. So it's been been nice to be him for other people, because that's kind of what I wanted to be. That was a driving force in me. Learning that, like, I enjoyed the teaching was seeing other people of all ages being creative, because somewhere, for whatever reason, around middle school, it's no longer cool to draw. Everybody draws. Everybody's drawing before they're talking. Scribbling, they're doing something, trying to express themselves, write their names or whatever, copy this, that, or the other. And then somewhere along the lines, being creative becomes uncool unless you're really good at it. Which is unfortunate, because a lot of around that middle school age is where you should be experimenting with everything and anything. And even myself, I felt I was a little stifled, but I was an undercover artist for many years.
Undercover artist.
Yes.
Like that.
I would hide. I would do. I had a drawing book with me, and I wouldn't let too many people see it, so I kind of understand and connect with a lot of kids who have drawing books. And I asked them, do you mind if I take a look at that? Because it's almost like a diary. Because I would even write little private things in there, private thoughts. So. Just being on the other side, I've never forgotten also what it was like to be a creative kid, because I feel like that's your connection to your childhood. So unfortunately Toys R Us is going under, but I still don't want to grow up.
That's awesome. So it kind of came full circle for you, from having somebody that really encouraged you, that was kind of a mentor to you, and now you're able to mentor and encourage others. I love that. What a journey. So so a lot of the people in the community, as we kind of talked about before, these are parents and professionals who are looking for offline ways to keep their kids engaged. You've got a little one still. Well, he's kind of little. He's
just turned 9.
Oh, so cute. So, and the struggle with the Minecraft and the online.
Because he loves his phone. He loves his Switch.
And
he loves Plants vs. Zombies.
Oh, yeah.
He loves it all.
Yeah.
He's really a techie kid. He can be athletic, but I think he enjoys the inner world that video games create. And the expression of being able to jump around and shoot, build, and all of these other cool things that they market towards the kids, but still kind of confined, and it's even a struggle for him to be more physical, and
engaged.
Disconnected.
I
still give him his space to do that, because that's his thing. and it's not like he necessarily plays games that aren't that. Some of them are educational,
right?
And, stimulate the mind for the most part. But I do. I try to challenge him to be a little bit more board gamey here and there.
Right.
We used to come here to mastermind all the
yeah.
time, and
what was the game? It was Castle Panic was his thing for a while. It's a great game if you guys don't know Castle Panic. It's really cool.
Yes.
So if they're at home and obviously we're going to have art classes here, and there's probably art classes in the community. What are some resources that they can look for? Like how do they find these resources in their community to kind of get their kids maybe the creative juices flowing again, or encourage that creativity, even at home? Like, what are some things that they might be able to do?
I would say it's since you threw the community out there, book sales were great for me. So I would take Elijah to book sales.
Okay.
There's one at the Southworth Library in Dartmouth, like twice a year, and it was a phenomenal book sale.
Wow.
And if you go there on the last day, they cut the prices out more if you're in that area. But I'm sure other libraries have book sales as well.
And do you look
book
for
fairs?
Yeah.
But I would take him because I would let him know I'm going for art references. You can get some books yourself too, and find out what you want. So we would go there, and then it would allow me an opportunity to kind of peek into his brain and see what he was interested in.
Oh.
So that's kind of what I would use it as. And
that's
then know,
interesting.
so he likes animals too. Okay, so now I have a bit of an angle here and there. So it was a good peek, as well as something else to do that wasn't computer related.
Yeah.
And even though he would pick up a Minecraft coloring book or something like that, he's still coloring and not necessarily, doing whatever. And then that can lead me into, hey, let's paint something like that. We've done paint projects with a Pokemon character, and I used the grid method, drew and painted with him, and so it was a nice collaborative kind of thing. That
What's the grid method? So if people aren't familiar with that term.
Grid method is it's a faster way. You can straight out draw something, but if you want your proportions kind of set up well, similar to like this camera, it's broken into a grid, and this way you can get the proportions a little bit more, or a lot more accurate. And you can also scale it, where in lessons I take a smaller piece. It can be a 5x7, and then we blow it up to about 9x12, and then we use the proportions, and I'll have the kids draw the lines out and everything a lot of times, depending on the resources I have at the wherever I'm holding the workshop. Sometimes I have it ahead of time, just so they can see it and then begin to draw according to basically the same thing. You're duplicating it.
Is it less overwhelming, like looking at it in sections? Is that one of the reasons
why?
Okay.
Yes. So the brain takes in everything.
Yeah.
If any page you're looking at, even if you're focused on the words up here, all these, that's how people speed read, right? Your brain can take in more. It's just what you're focused on.
Okay.
So a lot of times I'll get a piece of paper and block out sections.
Okay.
Just so that kind of quiets another portion, and you're chunking it down, kind of. Just so it's like, okay, this little square or these 3 squares are a whole lot easier to draw than these 16.
Yeah.
So then you can slide that around, and then that makes it a lot easier.
Right.
So what we would do, the second part to going to the book sales and stuff, is we'd get these books, we'd take them home, and then I would make activities. He has an area at our home where, several. One for Legos, another one for art, TV, the computer for his more digital type of endeavors. But we'll set things up, and then he'll be able to have a space. So there'll come a time, hey buddy, I think you've been there for a while. How's about you take a bit of a break and go work on this or go work on that? And a lot of times I'll go do it with him.
Yeah.
That way it doesn't seem like, oh, I don't get to do this, and then I get to add some fun into it too. If I'm happy to be there and spending time with him, he's going to be a bit more happy about it than, get to work.
Yeah.
Get off that computer. Yeah. You're always on that thing where, no, go do a puzzle. I'll sit here and watch.
Right.
So if he sees me being engaged, then he can kind of copy that, and feed off of the enthusiasm that way too. And setting up an art space is pretty easy. depending on the age group, if you have teenagers, of course, it's going to be a bit different. I would go the pencil set and drawing book route, kneaded erasers, the kind of gummy type, the regular type of block erasers as well, different mechanical pencils. I like the blue pencils in particular.
For older kids?
This is more for the older kids.
Teens, yeah.
Just so you can have more precision instruments, maybe some color pencils as well. If you have access to making copies, you can make a character, photocopy them, and then do different color samples. I've done that before. That was always kind of a fun thing to get going. For the younger kids, sky's the limit. I'm not a fan of Play-Doh or glitter. I'm not a fan of Play-Doh or glitter.
No Play-Doh.
No Play-Doh.
Why?
No glitter.
I have to hear more. I understand the glitter, but
they're messy.
Yes.
And too messy.
Yeah.
Parents with rugs will automatically agree with anything I'm saying right now, because all it takes is a little bit of Play-Doh, and it never stays that pretty little color.
Yeah.
It turns some nasty. No Play-Doh, no glitter. I don't know how you get rid of that.
Yeah.
Once it's in, it's like fruit
forever.
flies in the summer. If you let them in too soon, that's it. They're all over the place. And you're just waiting for the winter time.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait till it cools off. They're all over the place. So, and for whatever reason, it's not my thing. Crayons, color pencils, they allow for, I think, a more broad band of creativity. There is Sculpey you can use, which is less intrusive, so to say, and it dries up. So that's
right.
The Play-Doh, it being that way and tacky too long. If you give an end to it and you're like, you got to create something or this is done.
Yeah.
Then they're going to create something. You get to throw it in the oven for a little bit.
Yeah.
Some air dry, and then you're good.
Yeah.
There's an end to the project, not this thing that you can just kind of mess with, and then you get bored of it falls off the table.
Yeah.
It's over.
Right.
I would rather it.
And it gets kind of nasty too, doesn't it? Like it's like that crust on it.
Hairs and all kinds of. It can't be sanitary after all. It just.
It can't be sanitary.
And and glitter just gets everywhere. I've had glitter in my hair for months. Months. Like, how did that happen? More glitter.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So, and then paper. You can mess with different types of colored papers. There's all kinds of. I do paper puppets. That's one of my favorite things to do. Just about, even teenagers, depending on the paper puppets and the level of creativity you throw in there. I have one for more like teen and preteen kids. That's a dragon, where there's horns, teeth, a tongue, tail, wings, multiple wings if you want to throw that on there.
Right.
So it deals more with the precision and the tools and everything, and they get into it, and then I'll have a sample. And then they'll see, so this is what the dragon looks like. That's not bad for paper. That looks easy.
Right.
And then you get into it, and then boom, you're engaged, because now there's this goal of trying to get mine to look like his and figure it out, right? And then the younger kids, I have one Olaf, and they're kind of pre-made into 2, 3, and 5 pieces, because the younger kids, sometimes if you give a kindergartner who isn't so good with the scissors, a 5-piece, they get overwhelmed.
Right.
But if you give them a 2 or 3, now they're still in it. You can help them along and get it somewhere.
Right.
So they can still have that victory at the end, because I noticed with the whole teaching thing, that's kind of you want them to have wins, and you want their confidence level to always remain at a certain level. Once I notice the confidence is dropping, it is my job as the teacher, mentor, whatever, to raise all that up and remind the kids of where they are and who they are talent-wise, because sometimes you forget. Even me, I painted portraits and I can paint people, but there are times where I approach a project and I don't think I can do it, and then I need to kind of dig in there and figure out, just look around at some samples. You've done this before. Get to work. But getting that out of somebody who isn't used to it, or being creative isn't something you talk about. When I was growing up, my father believed you can make a living being an artist. He still tells people I'm an engineer. Now he tells them I'm a school teacher. But
Yeah.
before I became a teacher, which was only as of 2 years, he was telling everybody I was an engineer.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Because he couldn't believe I painted pictures and people paid for it.
Yeah.
And then I did workshops and people came to them.
Yeah.
Because
it's very traditional.
Yeah. He was, policeman, doctor,
Right.
lawyer, manager of some
Right.
kind of something. And I was always on the creative side.
Yeah.
So luckily, under my mom's care, she allowed that.
Yeah. So in some ways, depending on the kid and the project, you can really build in some frustration tolerance with kids.
Yes.
Right?
Patience. I think that's where I learned patience.
Yeah.
Is through art.
Yep.
I've made so being self-taught, I've made every mistake and counting that there is with anything I've ever taught myself.
Right.
But I was okay with that. It's okay to make mistakes. It's natural and normal. Should I do that? It's okay to make mistakes. It's natural and normal. You're gonna make mistakes.
Yeah.
You're supposed to make mistakes.
Right.
How else are you supposed to figure out how to fix?
Right.
Or I usually avoid the word fix.
Yeah.
Adjust.
Okay.
Is usually the
Yeah.
route that I take it. Because there is people say there's no wrong or right with art. There is. There is. Because if you give me a portrait to do and one eye is down and you
Right.
didn't want that Picasso look,
Oh my
you're not
gosh.
going to pay me.
It's
So
so
that's
funny.
wrong.
Yeah.
You gotta.
I just had do you remember the big controversy about that that woman who cleaned the picture of Jesus and he came out looking like an owl? Oh my gosh, that was so tragic and so funny at the same time.
Yes. So
Yeah,
was
that's
there
not
a right
right.
or wrong with that?
That's not right.
Somebody's like, you gonna pay her? You gotta keep your money. She owes you money.
Yeah, a lot, right?
No,
It's priceless piece of art.
Yeah, that's like insurance and everything.
gosh.
Now it's damn
Hysterical. I'm sorry, just little segue, but that was.
But that's real. That's a great example because I hear that all the time. There's no mistakes in art. Now usually I have to wait for the parent to leave, and then I approach the kid. Guess what? They're wrong.
Right.
And
But
then
it's
I give
okay to
them plenty of
experiment. Like I think
examples.
there's different,
Yes,
there's
absolutely.
different levels and there's different.
Absolutely.
Like if you're exploring and you're just doing something as an exercise.
Yes, there's a time and a place.
Yes, there's a time and a place.
Most times, you're just supposed to have fun with it.
Yeah.
Me, I chose to make it a job,
Right.
a career, kind of my path kind of thing. So I need to be at a certain level in order to get paid.
Right.
You can have fun with it and just make it that way, but
Right.
I wanted to make a living
Yeah.
being creative.
Right.
And because it
And you've kind of run the gamut because you've done graphic design,
Yes.
you've done portraits, you've done painting, you've done
teaching
instructional.
and work, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been on kind of both sides, and I really am going to be working on a graphic novel pretty
Right.
soon. Or
So talk about the comic aspect of things because that's kind of running through a few things that you're doing right
Yes,
now. Yeah.
yes. So sequential art is huge to me. It's one of the things. Once again, my mother has been a huge influence. Thank you, Mom. She bought us comic books, and we just had these comic books around us all the time. So seeing these superheroes and getting into that kind of thing was like huge because now there were these people who were making a living
Right.
somewhat creating art.
Right.
And I wanted to be one of these guys, so I used to mimic and create all kinds of things. And so now sequential art has been huge.
Sequential art. I've never heard it called that.
I like
So what
calling
is that-
it
what does that
sequential art
encompass?
is like comic books, also like storyboarding.
Yeah.
So now these two, they're sequential art. So
Yeah.
I kind of
So meaning sequential
isn't
it's telling a story.
It's telling a story, and you're taking an image and moving the story along. The best comic artists, now I'll go into that, and
Yeah.
storyboard artists don't need words. You
Right.
can tell what's going on. You can tell when there's conflict by body language. That's where gesture drawing comes in. So the reason I love sequential art, comic book art, storyboard art is because there's a lot of gesture drawing involved in it. There's a lot of human expression.
Right.
A lot of times with and without the words. What is it? 80% of human communication is nonverbal.
Right.
So body language comes into play. The slumped shoulders,
Right.
the worrying or thinking. How many we touch our faces all the time, and usually that's meaning something with what's going on inside of our heads. So I found that it's a nice goose egg, golden egg, if you will, of teaching opportunity, because there's creative writing involved in it, to prepare for it. When I'm going to be doing these comics, it's going to be at the New Bedford National Historical, I know whaling is in their parks.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to be showing my process, not just, and I'll be doing a lot of it on the scene, right there, just making this a graphic novel from the cover to the pictures I'm going to be taking of the locals. So basically, it's going to be, the name of it's New Bedford. It's going to be a zombie apocalypse graphic novel based in New Bedford.
That's awesome.
So New Bedford was 2 times over the richest city in the world. During the zombie apocalypse will be its 3rd time.
Oh!
And so I'm going to be using real businesses and local people there. I'm just going to sign off. And so I can use their images as a zombie or as somebody who's still living as a survivor, making New Bedford great again.
New Bedford is pretty great. I'm a fan of New Bedford myself.
I dig it. And it's perfectly positioned as far as being able to defend it and stuff like that.
Oh, so much history.
Novel, so there's people who are going to be coming after it. History is going to be the main angle that I'm going to be taking it.
Wow.
So with the lessons and workshops I'm going to be giving, I'm going to be interjecting the history into the graphic novel and using that to explain where New Bedford has been, and then boom, now you have the zombie apocalypse that everybody is dealing with.
When does that start?
July 1st is my first day of setup, and then all the workshops and everything are going to begin to be posted.
So people can sign up for that?
Yes, absolutely. And it's all free. You can just come in and see what I'm doing. And I'm going to be doing workshops and everything.
Is it like a weekly thing, or?
Yep. I have to put 10 hours in a week. I'll likely be putting in more.
Yeah.
And you should come down to see me at the National Park.
Yeah, so we'll put the link in the comments, and I always do like a follow-up and like let people know where to find, all of that. So wow, that sounds like really fun. So talk about some of the, because you brought some samples of art with you. Talk maybe about like, because you've got one that you said was like an exercise, and then you've got some, so talk about the different things you brought and what you've used them for.
So this is pointillism, right? This is a lesson I did with a lot of the high school students, and then I'll be rolling out in other workshops where it's all dots. I'm going to get now even closer. And you can see all the itty bitty bits of paint all around there.
That's so cool.
When you pull back, now it's
that is amazing.
So it's kind of, I heard this analogy about being too close to the elephant.
Yeah.
When it comes to problems and stuff,
yeah.
When you're looking at your problems too close, it looks like one thing, but then when you kind of take a step back and look at things, it's different perspective.
That's cool.
So it's to show kids that, and anyone, that it doesn't have to be all these paint strokes and all of this other stuff and complicated, that you can come up with something that looks relatively difficult in a very simple way. And this is just color and shading. And if you look at it, if you were looking at it up close, there's blues even in the skin colors. There's reds and oranges and yellows, but they all come together once you pull back. And it's the same thing if you look at your skin and anything else. Most people think there's just one color in your complexion, when people have like multi portions of color depending on what part of their body and what time of the year it is. So that's one of the more fun lessons I also like to do, that gets us away from the paint strokes and kind of throws a different perspective of looking at.
So if they wanted to do something like that at home with their kids, how would they start? What would they do?
Well, I started out with a reference. I just went online, looked up an eye, and it happened. It can be in color. You can do this in black and white as well. Black and white might be a little bit easier, but I like to challenge people straight off. It makes them listen a lot more.
They're going to really pay attention.
They're going to really pay attention.
That's a great tip.
Yes. Because if you make things too easy, bored kids are not fun kids to deal with. But if they're engaged, they're trying to figure it out. What else do I do? What's the next step? What do I do next? That's where you want them. And so I make it just hard enough where if and this is where it stretches their patience. I tend to lose kids, and that's okay. But the kids who keep going are now the example for the other kids. And then I just go back and deal with the other kids who need to be caught up.
More encouragement.
Yeah. And then so I get to get their confidence levels up, and we're back in the game.
Cool. Yeah, fantastic.
So when I was doing the regular paint nights and stuff, this was one of the more popular ones.
Yeah, everybody loves Starry Night, right?
Starry Night.
Yeah.
And I still do the paint sessions, destination painting, where we pick a lovely location.
Yeah.
Like your home.
Your backyard.
And yes, your own home, right?
Yeah.
It's own comforts and everything, and then you can party like you want to, and then we paint it up.
So I don't know if you guys heard that, but he has a business called Destination Painting.
Yes, it's another facet of the Creative Oasis.
Okay.
One is destination painting, the other with mobile art services, and the other one is the Creative Oasis Youth Arts Program that I put on, which was a free art program for kids in New Bedford at 3 locations.
Yep.
Ages 5 to 17 at that time.
Gosh, that's a huge endeavor.
Yes, it was.
That's a lot of kids to keep busy. I'm just gonna say.
Kids. This is more on the advanced level of the art spectrum. This was another class that we did where but I got this reference and I painted it, and then I take it to the paint night session, and once again, it kept the folks engaged.
Yeah.
It looks kind of simple, but getting the proportions out is where you have to pay the most attention, and then it's kind of like a paint by numbers after that.
Yeah.
And parents, you can even do the same thing. A lot of times, you can drawing and creating a sample. First off, impresses your kid, right? Even if you didn't do it that well, it still impresses them that you tried.
Yeah.
And you're showing them it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
But you're trying, and here's how mine looks. Let's try yours. My son Elijah, if it looks good, he's not as interested.
Oh.
But if it doesn't, his goal and aim is to make his better than mine. So let's keep that in mind about our competitive kids.
Isn't that cool?
If you have one of these kids who really wants to just beat you, and Elijah just wants to beat me at every and anything. He doesn't want me to win at anything.
That's
so sometimes, and this is where I'm not sure if I hope he watches this video, but sometimes I use that to my advantage. You know your kids. A certain way. I know my kid, and I know if I do it too well, he's not going to be as interested.
Right.
And this is the same thing with video games. If I'm horrible at a video game, he's all over it.
Oh, that's
because he wants to show off, and he likes to show off. So I let that happen, and he really is good at video games. So he got me there. But in this realm, I'm doing pretty good.
Funny.
Another advanced lesson is lips. Once again, make a sample and roll it out with your kids. Show them the step-by-step process. Show them the tools you use. Sometimes you can have a kid doing something where they're just drawing off to the side and you're doing something separate. It doesn't even necessarily have to be the same. Just that you're being in a creative space and sharing that creativity at the same time equals up to a lot of quality time often. Right. There have been times where Elijah's been drawing something else and then I've been painting, where I would tell him, hey, go ahead and do whatever you feel like doing, just draw something and have a good time with it, and then we're done, and then we move on to something else. We get a snack, and then that gives us a segue into something else. But making it fun and them seeing you having fun with it, whether you're good at it or not, because I know most parents, as soon as I said make the sample, we're like, bah! He's crazy, he's out of his mind. But if you're in it and you're enjoying it, it's the same thing with exercise. If it's modeled in a positive, healthy way, kind of like your Camp Half-Blood and stuff like that, where it's a game.
Right.
And I'm sure just about every parent has seen your kid run around and you're like, wow, they're running for a long time right now. Yeah. Especially when it's attached to a game as opposed to run around the track, go!
Yeah.
Tick, 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 tick.
I mean, that's why we started Nerf games with our kids back 5 years ago when we started Nerf. It was because my kids didn't like traditional sports, But if I put a Nerf blaster in their hand, they were running
place.
for an hour and
all over the place.
Yeah.
We have these connector things that Elijah will make into a little weapon or something, and we're running around the house playing with that.
Right.
And it's not even anything that looks like remotely like anything that we're playing with, but just the imagination gets the engagement going, and then we're off and running.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of the aim is to bring back that play. And even to me, the creative art stuff is kind of playing to me. So this is the type of stuff I get paid for. So just so you can see, I can paint.
Yes.
I'm not. And like
for
really
real.
Paint. Yes, for real. That's a real person who exists in our world.
Wow.
And this is a painting I did for this gentleman.
So it's a commission.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes. And so,
it's beautiful.
I paint all kinds of stuff. This is what I love doing because not too many people can do it.
It's hard to make something look real.
Yes. Yes.
It's really hard, you know.
Just like it.
Yes.
And replicating it and getting in there. And finding all those little details, because this is only a summary of really what is going on. This gentleman has many more features in there that there's no way I can really display that with a paintbrush.
Right.
So I have to be selective of the tones and everything that I use to create what I do. So I've done memorial paintings for people, baby paintings, wedding paintings of all sizes.
Amazing.
All kinds of good.
And the thing you're going to do with us is a portrait class.
Yeah.
So talk about that.
It's going to be. It's not going to be. This is more along acrylic paint. We're going to be. So there's the underdrawing that goes. That sets all these proportions.
Okay.
Basically, I'm going to get the kids up to speed with that.
Yes.
Which is going to be on a piece of Bristol board, some paper, where they're going to lightly use the grid method, but because I use the grid method on this one now, I necessarily don't have to, but it's faster even for me to just get my proportions and get to running, especially if it's a paid job. I'm just trying to get it done as fast and as efficiently as possible. Right. Because people pay for quality, not speed. Right. I can be as fast as I want to be.
As long as it looks
right. As long as it looks good.
Right.
Then we're good.
Right.
And then you get paid quicker when you're fast.
So the portrait class, I think we've got it set up so that there's a July and then there's an August. There's 2 4-week.
Yes.
So you can take a look for that. So if you miss the July, you can certainly sign up for
August.
And
there's going to be exercises involved. It's not just going to be straight drawing out this portrait because I don't expect anybody. I mean, I'm sure we'll have some superstars in the class. I usually do. Yeah. But for those who are a little more apprehensive and a little more scared about it, there are different shading and drawing exercises and other gridded things that you'll be sketching and drawing in to kind of warm you up and get you ready for it. You can take them home. This isn't school. This is summertime. Yeah. This is basically going to end up being a nice piece of memorabilia that they're going to have. I didn't realize that the last time that we did it at Andrew McCoy, but once I was standing there looking at all these kids with portraits of themselves that they had done, and they were all like about middle school age.
We should do. We need to set up a little gallery at the end so parents can.
Yes.
We need to do that. So that'll be part of it now. So we only have a couple more minutes, but talk about if there are parents at home that are like, okay, my kid's into art, I don't know how to encourage them, or my kid was into art and now they're kind of discouraged. Like, are there great books that they can go to or resources that they can use to kind of encourage their kids?
Yes.
You know, especially if they're not like close by, because we've got people in here from Florida, California.
Okay.
Yeah, all over.
I would say as far as resources go, my son Elijah is a YouTuber, right? Not on YouTube, but he loves YouTube. Yeah, that's his television.
That's their favorite. So we did a survey recently, and that's the number one thing that kids are spending time on is YouTube.
Is YouTube. Yeah. There's a gentleman named Mark Crilley, MarkCrilley. He's like the number one instructional dude on YouTube. He also has a book. It's about mastering manga. That's it, and it's phenomenal. And the lessons on YouTube correspond with the lessons in the book. Even if you don't want to get the book, which it was phenomenal, you can even find digital versions of it. It is it's like the Bible to me of how to create manga art.
Yeah.
And he gives a lot of history.
So manga is a Japanese invented kind of form
sequential art.
Sequential art and comic kind of style, but it's very distinctive. Yeah.
Very distinctive. They have a total style that they have and a formula that can be used. I'm not going to say it because it's just the way they draw. Some of these folks, but Mark Crilly's broken it down to a science where I tried drawing it my way, and you see, I can do what I do. I did it my way, and then I did it his way, and his way every single time
is
just
better. Wow.
The proportions and everything were solid.
Right.
So he's a phenomenal resource, and then he doesn't just do the comic art. He does some realistic art as well. He sprinkles in a lot of great lessons. So he's highly recommended, Mark Crilly. Another one
I'll put the link.
Is Understanding Comics and Making Comics by Scott McCloud. And it's basically they're two different books. They're graphic novels to show you how to make graphic novels. And he goes into the different styles of it. He goes into it's a really good chunking down of all, because there's no way you can cram everything really into one book. He could have had a chapter on just character development, but his character development chapter is like so solid. You can he gives you enough to make your own. And he speaks to you in a very plain, matter-of-fact way, and he shows you in the book how to do it while you're reading the book. He creates the cliffhangers as you're reading it, and this is a cliffhanger. And you're like, what? Boom! And then you're, he did that, and then he'll do that again and again, here and there. Just to show you the lesson.
I bet the kids are really engaged with that. Like, it's engaging, more engaging than a regular art book.
Yes, and it pulled me in because I'm not an avid reader. I'll read something, but I have to really love it and be interested in it, or the person who I'm reading about, or it has to really be something for me. But comics and graphic novels, it's a whole nother. It's not even a book to me. It's like this whole other type of world and creative art that, I mean, it was the gateway for me getting into realistic art, because I wanted to make my own world and make it look more and more and more and more real. I think, and definitely with what I'm doing with
your own stuff.
With the New Bedford, I'm basing it off of a chunk of reality with history, and then adding my own creative flavor in there.
So where else can they find you? Just kind of like email or website, or how do they get in touch with you if they've got
FitzCarmelLamarre.com. You can hit me there. I'm on Facebook. It's kind of a specific name. I'm pretty sure I'm the only Fitz Carmel in the world. And you throw the Lamar on there, you're gonna find me. You're gonna find me. So we can be friends.
We'll do the link. I'll send a link out to everybody too. And so and we'll do links to all your classes and where they can meet you, where they can find you.
I'll be at the Boys and Girls Club too, doing all kinds of cool stuff.
All kinds of great. You want to talk about that real quick? We got I'll give you a minute. Go ahead.
I'll be at the Boys and Girls Club, doing basically all kinds of arts and crafts.
Boys and Girls Club in
New Bedford.
Okay.
Yes, doing all kinds of cool arts and crafts and project-y type things. And I'll likely be posting a lot of stuff on my Facebook page, so you'll have an idea of these are all activities that you can do, especially the paper bag puppets. And the different cards, and fold outs. And just need some scissors,
stuff
some
you
glue,
can do at home.
Stuff you can do at home.
Awesome.
But these kids are just gonna be hanging out and be in my audience for a bit.
That's awesome.
And then the national parks thing, where free comic book workshop.
That's amazing. Free. That's fantastic.
And so the challenge that I'll be able to share is kids are going to be looking at this graphic novel, so I have to find the balance where I can't be gory and nasty with a zombie apocalypse book. But I know it's going to be engaging, and that's the main reason I'm doing it, because it's a hot ticket.
Yeah.
These days.
Oh yeah. You gotta meet them where they're at for sure.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So if you're not watching this on our community, you should join our community so that you can watch these live. It is through our Facebook page on Mastermind Adventures on Facebook. If you click on the join group, it'll bring you to the community, and then you can get these kind of up to dates. And I'm thinking that we're also going to maybe do some live Q&As, because these won't be totally live, but we will probably set you up with a live Q&A over the summer so people can connect with you and ask you questions in real time. So stay tuned for that. And our community is called Let's Play. It's supporting screen time alternatives. And you can also find our website, mastermindadventures.com. And that would get you to our email, sign up for emails, because we've got a ton of stuff going on always within these four walls. But those of you who are out in Branson or out down in Florida, we just really want to help you find stuff in your community that helps keep your kids engaged, that's fun, that will give them a healthy alternative to the video game and YouTube obsession. So thanks so much for being with us. If you like this video, please subscribe to our Facebook community, and we will see you very soon.
Bye. Thank you. Yeah.